Hello again, this is Doc Rotten from Horror News Radio and Gruesome Magazine. With me tonight is the one and only Paul Cardullo with another entry into the Gruesome Gory... No, what is it?
Groovy Gory Gruesome Gold.
Absolutely. Tonight is a classic from Herschell, Gordon, Lewis, the Blood Feast. Paul, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing actually really good after seeing this one. Definitely. So for those of you unfamiliar, if you're unfamiliar with Blood Feast, shame on you. It is a classic because it is considered the first splatter picture. Herschell Gordon Lewis previously had done what were called nudie cuties, which were Lucky Pierre and other basically, they weren't softcore, they were just basically nudist camp movies. They took place in nudist camps. They were excused to have women running around naked. And he saw the writing on the wall and said, we're not going to be able to exploit this anymore because this is kind of moving into the mainstream. Now, this is 1963, so it still was kind of early. And so he said, I know what's going to be the next exploitation picture. It's going to be gore. And so they did this picture, and it's basically, you have this Egyptian caterer who is secretly a worshiper of the goddess Ishtar, and he's planning on creating this feast, recreating this feast from, I think it was like 5,000 years ago, using body parts from nubile young women. And so he does that. He goes around killing women and cutting out their tongues or their hearts, and it was really innovative for the day. You look at today and you're like, that's red paint, that's a cow tongue, but it was really gory for the time and really innovative, and it still holds up. What's funny is the acting's kind of cheesy, the special effects are kind of cheesy, but in a wonderful sort of way, and it's so much fun to watch.
Well, I imagine it runs briskly at an hour and 7 minutes.
Yes, you're not wasting a lot of time with this one. He gets right into it, and it's short and sweet and just so much fun. I mean, the goddess Ishtar is clearly a spray painted mannequin. Like I said, the blood is clearly red paint, but it's a beautiful, just wonderful, fun little film. What's also kind of neat is this DVD has on it also another one of Herschell Gordon Lewis's films from the same year called Scum of the Earth, and this is considered the first roughie. Now, this is a little harder to take because roughies were basically exploitation films where women were treated roughly. So it's a little difficult to watch. It's more of a novelty. It's it's about a young woman who gets tricked into posing for risque photos. But the most interesting thing is the star of that one is Alison Louise Down, who was Herschell Gordon Lewis's wife at the time. But more importantly to this, she was the screenwriter for Blood Feast. so it's definitely provides some interest there. It's a kind of scummy little movie, but that's another quick one that I think it's a little over an hour and is at least kind of an interesting one to catch.
So I imagine the extras are a bonus on this particular Blu-ray release they have for.
Oh yes, yes. I mean, we only lost Herschell Gordon Lewis last year, I believe, at the age of 90, and they have an interview from only a couple years ago on there, as well as one from about 10 years ago. He does the commentary on it. There's some nice little features. There's even about 45 minutes of outtakes from Blood Feast. They don't have any sound to them, so it's not a blooper reel, but it's 45 minutes of just alternate takes and outtakes from it. So it's really kind of a interesting, fun thing to watch. But the movie itself is so much fun. It's really, I can't say it's not art, but it's certainly is really fun.
And of course, if you haven't heard of Herschell Gordon Lewis, he made a lot of these gory films, kind of invented a genre, if you will. You know, he did 2000 Maniacs, Monster Go-Go, Color Me Blood Red, Taste of Blood, Gruesome Twosome. What they keep going, right? The Wizard of Gore.
The Wizard of Gore. I mean, he was known as the Godfather of Gore, and he embraced it. He actually came back, and 40 years after he did Blood Feast, 30 years after he had directed his last picture, he went on to direct Blood Feast 2, and then started doing several more films when he was well into his 70s and 80s. And he just really had a fun time with it. He enjoyed his genre, and he knew what it was, and he enjoyed it and had fun with it. And you'll have fun with his stuff too. Yeah,
and this film is a great example of what he was capable of. Yes.
Oh, most certainly. Like I said, it's the first splatter picture, and you know what? It's only a little over an hour. It's fun. It's well worth your time. And if you haven't seen it, you need to.
Excellent. Go ahead and give us your score and your favorite scene.
So, I mean, it's hard to give it like a score. You can't give it a score on artistry. You got to deal with it for what it is. And what it is, I give it a full on, oh man. All right. I'm going to actually pull back and just give it a 4 because it isn't, you know, you're not talking Citizen Kane here, but it's still, it's of historic importance value. So I give it a 4, and probably my favorite scene. It would have to be the scene where he does take the tongue, the young woman's tongue out, because it's like this cow's tongue that he's holding up, and it's kind of a fun, neat, interesting effect.
Excellent. Looking forward to seeing that. All right. Well, another great review, Paul. Thank you. Let's say goodnight.
Good night, Doc.
Be sure to visit GruesomeMagazine.com to listen to the other gruesome podcasts, Hard News Radio, and Decades of Horror. Also check out the Gruesome Magazine Quarterly, available in digital and print on demand format.